and investment agreements in the country. At this junction, we look forward to having a successful and a unique launch of the National Action Plan.
Good morning to all. I just want to say thank you to my colleague. I want to stay on existing protocol because of time. Just a point of correction. I am Richard Ensign, but this is a combined presentation doing the development of the agenda. Only my name was placed there, but the ministry had to present an overview, and I'm from civil society, so I have to present civil society's perspective. So that's why I'm here. So I'm Richard Ensign from the Sustainable Development Institute. I just want to say thank you to my colleague. I am not here to give a very long presentation, just few statements from the civil society perspective. So I would like to start with a quote from the former Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. He says, "If leaders do not listen to their people, they will hear from them in the streets, the squares, or as we see far often on the battlefield." This means protest, riot, if there's no inclusive participation in these different processes. But despite, there's a better way, he says. Participation, more democracy, more engagement and openness means there will be maximum space for civil society and other actors to participate, will reduce these conflicts. And this is why we are here today. This is why civil society participation in the development of this plan is very much important. So civil society has some roles which we have been working with the Ministry of Justice and other stakeholders in the development of this. So we have a role to identify some of the gaps and seek reforms to increase coherence with the government's and human rights commitment across the business-related aspect. Also to make the process very inclusive, transparent, and participatory as well. So we have our roles continues to promote awareness of the national action plans and to bring community perspective and to work with community as well, especially affected community and businesses to be sure to participate in this process. So there's a guidance on the development of this process which we have been involved with. So phase one has to do with the initiation, which has to create a format for engagement with non-governmental organizations. How have we been involved in this process? So our involvement as civil society organizations started 2022 at the Corina Hotel, where we have our quarterly information sharing and meeting, where we invited line ministries and agencies of government in which we got to know about this process and decided to participate. Phase two has to do with the assessment and the conclusion and understanding of different human rights issues and impacts. We have been working along with the Ministry of Justice in several different meetings. Even at the national level, we had the validation of this plan in which we brought communities from different parts of the country, from Maryland, from Cape Town, and other parts of the country to participate in the validation process because we feel that their voices must be heard and it must be part of the development of a policy document that will affect them. So, and through that, we have been participating as well. And phase four talks about implementation, which we see very much important as civil society, which has to do with setting up a multi-stakeholder monitoring group and defining modalities for monitoring and evaluating the impacts. So, in short, we are very pleased as civil society that we have been participating in this process. Despite we look forward to several others aspects of this process. One, when it comes to the implementations as civil society, we want government to take ownership of the implementation of the NAP. Because when government takes ownership and supported by other actors, definitely we will see the impacts of the NAP. We don't want it to be a shelf document. Another one, we want to strengthen coordination and collaboration with CSO, NGOs, in the private sector and communities as well when it comes to implementation of this document. Everybody must be on board to ensure that we have a safe business space, investment climate, our community's rights are protected and respected as well through the operations of businesses. Also, we want to ensure that the NAP's awareness and capacity is very much important. It's not just launching the NAP, but we must create awareness, we must build capacity, communities must understand this document, all other stakeholders, how it should be implemented on ground. We feel that this is very much important to the process. Also, fundings requirement, we have our donor partners, government must take initiative again, allocate fundings to the implementation of the NAP, because we see funding is another aspect. Robust monitoring and evaluation of the NAP is very much important. Reporting, companies must report. I know we have some companies, we have businesses here. So reporting, we want to know, is very much important when it comes to accountability and transparency. What are you doing? How's the NAP being implemented? Is very much important in the process. So civil society will look forward to that, and we look forward to government protecting the rights of Liberians, businesses, especially multinational, transnational companies, from the agro-commodity sector, from the mining sector. There are a lot of issues today we all know about. So we feel that, and we think that that is a document to help us address some of the issues. So we look forward to working with all stakeholders in this process as civil society to ensure that the NAP is effectively implemented. I want to say thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I'm calling from the Ministry of Justice. The Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Legal Affairs. Thank you very much, Councilor, for coming. We have Dr. Christopher Kosa, who is the Country Director of Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. Thank you, sir. We have Dr. Clement Peters Lasuba, who's representing the Office of the Resident Coordinator of the UN. Thank you, sir. Welcome. We have Honorable Arthur Tua, the Minister of Justice, Attorney General of the Republic of Liberia. Welcome, sir. We have His Excellency, the Vice President, Honorable Jeremiah Koung. Welcome, sir. We have Honorable Fanachi Kofa, the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Welcome, sir. Of course, we have Councilor Denso Brown, T. Denso Brown, the Chairperson of the Independent National Commission on Human Rights. Welcome, sir. We also want to recognize the diplomatic corps, government officials for coming to this very important program. So we come for remarks. We call on the Chamber of Commerce to make a remark. Just short remark, please. 3 minutes. Sorry.
Greetings and good morning. Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Minister, members of the High Table, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished government officials, members of the private sector, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We are grateful for the opportunity, as President of Liberia Chamber of Commerce, we are grateful for the opportunity to be able to congratulate the government, particularly the Ministries of Justice and the Ministry of Labor, for the works that have been done, leading this process, working together with our international partners, particularly the UN Organization on Human Rights. Let me just take this opportunity to affirm and confirm that the leadership of the Liberia Chamber of Commerce, working with our partners in the chamber, the business organizations, and general business globally here in Liberia, that we will work seriously and cooperatively with the government to try to make sure that it is necessary to ensure that there is equal treatment to all folks here under the Liberia national flag. So we look forward to collaborating and participating in this process. In closing, let me also say that Liberia has been involved also in a number of regional and continental forums, particularly through our former president of the Liberia Chamber of Commerce, Wendell Addy, in terms of trying to also develop the private sector Bill of Rights. we also need to ensure that businesses and business rights are also protected. So we're working on that as well. We've been very much involved in that. We'd like to say congratulations to Mr. Ali as progress has been made. And once that is passed at the continental level with the AU, then we hope to see that then domesticated to the regions and then in country. So again, congratulations, Mr. Minister, and you are assured of our continued cooperation. I behaved myself, right?
Thank you very much. We call on the Liberian Business Association, any representative from the Liberian Business Association. No. National Unions for Workers Association of Liberia, any representative. Civil society organization, CSO. Liberian Civil Society, come to come forward, please. Just 3 minutes, please.
Good afternoon to all. Honorable Minister, Honorable Excellency, the Speaker, Corporal President. Actually standing before you all today, personally, I'm Mr. Lusoni Gray, full soldier of my candidates in the human rights. The weight and power have come before us through the length and breadth of this country, what we have been waiting for. Those engineers, police, who have helped with this process to bring us to where we are today. I say bravo to all in collaborating with others. We stand ready as other years come, as Liberia will turn in Africa, West Africa #1. I say big thank you to all of us and to the stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now call on the country representative of the. We call on the U.S. ambassador. Is anybody from the U.S. ambassador here? We call His Excellency the German ambassador. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, the country representative of the Office of the Human Rights, the United Nations, IC, an interim and country representative of WHO, Chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, President of the Liberian Chamber of Commerce, colleagues from the diplomatic corps, representatives of businesses, representatives of civil society, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here. In my professional life, which has now spanned 33 years in the German diplomacy, human rights was an important element from the beginning. And the first section in my ministry in which I worked was the human rights section. At the time, human rights were one field, business was a totally separate field. And I remember my also classes at university in human rights were marked by the understanding that human rights are basically a defense of the citizen against illegal activities by the state, by the government. So it was more the defense character. Then later on, it moved towards the promotion and protection, but in a proactive sense. So as to promote identification of the citizen with the state, the citizen as an active member. And later on, as we just learned, 2011 at the level of the United Nations, business became into this game. And it was now a new concept, business. And as the minister said, the acts or actions by the business that should be transparent, ethical, and responsible. And I'm sure that all business representatives here subscribe to that, and as I just learned from the Liberian Chamber of Commerce, there's a bill of rights in preparation as a counterpiece to the action plan that we now are launching. So it's a comprehensive approach, it's a new approach, where both concepts meet. And I'm very happy to have been able to accompany this over the decades from a professional perspective. And I congratulate Liberia and all actors involved. Obviously, there was a very broad, wide, and deep process of consultations. I congratulate Liberia to be the third country on the continent after Kenya and Uganda. So you are on the forefront, and that is really remarkable. Congratulations on that to the government and to the people of Liberia and to all those who have contributed on the international side. Thank you.
We have come to represent the opposition.
Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Ministers are present here, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, and heads of missions of your countries, the UN Resident Coordinator, and esteemed colleagues from the United Nations who are present here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As the representative of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, it's with pride and great accomplishment of that I stand here to witness the launch of this beautiful, important document, the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights for Liberia. As those who spoke before me said, Liberia is one of the rare African countries to have achieved this. I personally know a lot of countries in Africa that have been working for more than 10 years to have this, and they're still on the road. We are here. So I take the opportunity to ask all of us to clap for Liberia. As you saw in the summary of the processes, it took really a lot of meetings, support, financial, technical, and policy support from the UN and other partners, and especially from the government, a lot of political will. And the fact that we have this launch made by the Vice President himself shows how committed Liberia is when it comes to human rights and the place of human rights in the policies, actions, and the work of the Liberian government. Again, thank you, Vice President, for being here with us and speaking. I also take this opportunity to thank many partners, not only embassies, my colleagues from the UN, but also especially the government and the people of Germany. Germany, through GIZ, supports business and human rights activities of my office in Africa. And it's not every day you have countries, entities supporting works related to human rights. So for that one, we say thanks to the government of Germany and the people of Germany. And Ambassador Jacob, please translate this to your government. Although we all know that the primary responsibility when it comes to promotion and protection of human rights lies in the hands of the government, more and more we are seeing businesses being involved in human rights abuses. Some do because they're not informed, because they don't have tools, or because they don't have a document such as this National Action Plan, which has activities on how to ensure human rights are respected, protected, and promoted in the country by all, not only the government, but also business people. And this is really a very good opportunity, as we are here with the speaker, to see if these policy documents cannot be translated as soon as possible into a law, into a bill, and to ensure it has support from everybody. And my last point is to say, and I'm going to link this with what the CSO representative said, it's okay, it's good to have a plan, but it's more important to have activities to implement that plan. My office is ready to support this, to support the government. As you can see, for the steering committee for the Business and Human Rights plan, it's not only the Ministry of Justice, it's also the Ministry of Labor. It's also the UN entities, but also CSOs, communities, business people, trade unions, etc. So we need to make sure that all those people involved are put together and help the country to implement the National Action Plan. And again, I repeat, my office is ready to support these initiatives and to make sure that we do it. So the formula today is just the start of the marathon. I'm talking about the marathon because we just finished the Olympic Games maybe, but really it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, and we need to make sure that slowly we implement all those activities we put in the 5-year plan. And when in 5 years' time we come back here to discuss what we have achieved in these 5 years, we have to remain proud as we are today. And I will hope that that should be something which will appear the way I can say it is in this room today. So again, thank you, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, ministers here, ambassadors, my colleagues from the UN, and I can see my good friend from the African Development Bank nodding, trying to say that he's supporting also the implementation of this. And my sister, the ECOWAS ambassadors, is also confirming this. So thank you again for coming, and let us celebrate this moment because it's not every day an African country does what we are witnessing here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we have the EU ambassador, EU ambassador, European ambassador. So we have the UN resident coordinator, please.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, Honorable Speaker, Minister of Justice, invited ministers here and members of the legislature, members of the diplomatic corps, our UN colleagues, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be here this morning to represent the UN Resident Continental in the launch of this important initiative, the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights for the government of Liberia. We have already heard from the previous speakers. This process was conducted in the support of the government of Germany and was more consultative, including ministers of government, development partners, private sector, and civil society organizations, making it truly an inclusive process. Indeed, all states have a duty to protect people from human rights abuses committed by non-state actors. Businesses too have a responsibility to protect and respect human rights, even when states fail to fulfill their human rights obligations. When abuses occur, occasioned by non-state actors, victims must have access to effective remedy through judicial and non-judicial grievance mechanisms. We all have listened. Indeed, this process emanated some years back. It was a journey that culminated with the development of this important action plan. As a result of engagement, especially with the Office of Human Rights and various stakeholders, the government of Liberia agreed to develop this action plan to operationalize the United Nations guiding principles on business and human rights. And therefore, this action plan seeking of government's commitment to discharge their duties to protect in the context of business and ensure business operationalize their responsibility to respect and, more importantly, ensure access to remedy for individuals or communities adversely affected by business operations. The plan also encourages the adoption of effective grievance mechanisms by companies to address human rights concerns. Your Excellency, human rights and businesses are interconnected. As business activities can affect the human rights of various stakeholders, for example, the employees, customers, communities, and end users, business enterprises can positively and negatively impact human rights depending on their actions and decisions. Human rights offer a common framework for businesses to understand society's expectations and to deliver value to stakeholders in a more sustainable way. The formal launch of this action plan is a show of strong political will and bold step towards the institutionalization of business and human rights standards in the relevant state institutions, corporate entities, concessions, communities, and workers. The launch also of this important policy document is just the first step, and now the work must begin to operationalize and implement this action plan. The United Nations remains committed and prepared to partner with the government in actualizing the implementation of this plan, which is the most fundamental of its initiative. I congratulate the government of Liberia and all the institutions, including the civil organizations, society organizations, the business communities, the workers, local and international partners, and the Office of the Human Rights for achieving this important milestone. With the National Action Plan, we can all work together to create and maintain a responsible business environment to attract and sustain needed investments in businesses that will benefit all Liberians and enhance economic and infrastructural development. Our next step will be to focus on preparations for the workshop and the implementation of this National Action Plan at both the national and the county level. Let me take this opportunity to once again congratulate the government and all the actors who have made this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before we call on Councillor Brown to make a short remark, let's give the Ambassador of China time to just give us 2 minutes remarks. The Ambassador, Excellency, please.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Minister, and ministers, and members of the table, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First, let me take this opportunity to congratulate all Liberia friends to roll out the action plan. This is an effort of years, and this is an effort of hard working. And this is also an effort of stakeholders. So I will congratulate you, all Liberia friends. And second, I want to I just want to reiterate China's commitment to support all Liberia friends' efforts in promoting the business and human rights. So I thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Brown, please.
Mr. Vice President, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Attorney General area, members of the diplomatic corps, the present, all who observe. Now, it is interesting for us to discuss or formally launch this platform today. National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights. The Independent National Human Rights Commission plays an important role in this endeavor. Our mandate is to protect and promote human rights, but notwithstanding, with our mandate, the government plays an important role. In the past and present, the Commission monitors all of the consumption errors and all of business errors. What is discouraging is that the workers are not respected. Our monitor continued to send a report from the 15 counties where we have consumption errors. The workers are being used as slaves. No respect for the rule of law from the management. And this is why it is important to concentrate on this action plan. We do not have enforcement power. But our mandate is to advise the government on the violation of human rights. And the government must listen to the Human Rights Commission. And I hope that the Minister of Labor is here. Because the Minister of Labor, the Ministry of Labor has a greater role to play in the consumption errors. But there is no respect for the rule of law in our consumption errors. I can remember we visited the mountain in Cape Mount. And the worker union told us that they were used as slaves. No respect for the workers. Why should the company come and take our resources and not respect the owner of the resources? And so I don't want to talk much there. Because the more I talk, I want to give you the information so you understand what is happening in our country here. The workers are making less money. Their pay is so low, but they are being used as people who are not living. And so, Mr. Minister of Justice, you have a greater role also to play in this. Finally, when we visited Bear Mountain, I asked the manager, what is happening here? Because the worker union told the delegation that left from here for the Human Rights Commission that everything was all right. Now knowing the man was telling us that he was not telling us the truth. Then the union or president said that they were being used as slaves. If you go to work late, they treat you as if to say you are living with them. This country is a country of law. Not because you come and take away our resources, so you don't respect us. And I want to say here in closing that this action plan, the Ministry of Justice has to be very drastic and the Ministry of Labor. Because we should not sit here and our people be used as slaves and workers. Thank you.
Chairman, Chairman of the Human Rights Commission. Now at this time we call on the Minister of Labor, our representative, for just a very brief remark before we move up to the Honorable Excellency Vice President. But Minister of Labor, please come forward.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, Vice President, Mr. Speaker, and members of the High Table. I want to humbly say in this manner, I came to represent my boss, the Minister of Labor, Councillor Koung, and I'm lucky to be able to listen to Councillor and the acting chairperson that just left this podium. I think it gives me a very good idea of what I should say. Especially when he pointed out some instances with companies. And I believe that it has been a really tough moment for us, difficult since we took office, being able to handle some of these issues in the concession areas. But we want to say thank you to our development partners, the government of Liberia, our friends, and we are grateful and happy to have this as a working tools, and we welcome all those that see this important for us to work together. Our doors are open and we'll be able to work with you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
At this time, we would like to welcome Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Koung, for
His Excellency, Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, the Attorney General of the Republic of Liberia, and members of the High Table, ministers of government here present, my colleagues from the legislature, members of the Civil Body Corps, ladies and gentlemen. The fundamental basis of our constitutional order is human rights. Freedom of individuals and rights of individuals. Whenever a free society moves in a direction where the paramount building block is the rights of these individuals and citizens, society will move closer to development. We come today to witness the synergy of business and human rights, which then is indeed fundamental to what society is all about. Mr. Attorney General, we congratulate you and your team. We congratulate the civil society groups who have worked towards the development of this plan, and we look forward to full implementation, unwavering implementation, so that our society can move forward. Thank you very much.
Honorable Jerry Koung, for Speaker of the House of Representatives, and members of the 55th Legislature, Councillor Oswald Tour, Minister of Justice, our esteemed members of the Cabinet, our platform guests, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Council of Courts, special invitees, our development partners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. At this occasion, marking the official launch of the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights, I'm honored to invite Honorable Jeremiah Koung, Vice President of Liberia, for a special statement on future launch.
Thank you. You can please be seated. You know, most time when the protocol address the foreign call, everybody name. And sometimes when you come, you want to think whether you should start calling the names again or you stay on the existing protocol. As a speaker and members of the National Legislature, the Minister of Justice, Minister of Labor, the Chairman of the Independent National Commission on Human Rights, other officials of government here present, members of the Diplomatic Corps, international partners and friends, members of the business community, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I can agree more with the speaker who quoted thanking more. If you don't listen to the people, we'll hear from them living in the street. In this case, under this government, under the leadership of President Joseph Boakai, we are willing to listen to the people. We don't want to hear from them. So we don't want to hear from them in the street. We'll listen to them, dialogue with them. To avoid listening to them on the street, because most time we're in the street, it's difficult to hear one another. I bring you greetings from the Excellency Joseph Boakai, Senior President of the Republic of Liberia, who have long been at this program, but due to some pressing national engagement, he couldn't be here this morning. Attaching the importance to this program, he asked me to be here to represent him. Because of too many engagements this morning too, I want to apologize for coming late. I know the program was started long, but I came a little bit late, and so my apologies. Today signifies a major victory in our many years of advocacy for the protection of human rights in the business sector. Let me congratulate the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Labor, the Independent National Commission on Human Rights, and all stakeholders for drafting Liberia's first national action plan for business and human rights. Over the years, there have been several instances of bad labor practices in public and private sector. Abuse of human rights against employees, laborers in our country. For too long, our people have called for the formulation and implementation of policies and laws to regulate the widespread human rights abuses by business across our nation. Our gathering here is an answer to this call and an expression of our government commitment to promote responsible business practices in all sectors of our society. While it's true that we continue to make the case for more investment in our economy, to expand the private sector and create jobs for our citizens, and urge existing and potential investors to put the welfare of our people at the center of their business operations. This protection of human rights goes beyond laborers and employees. They must capture members of the community who bear the burden and consequences from bad business operations. As we make history today, as the fourth country in Africa to adopt such visionary plan, we do so with an understanding that the well-being of our citizens is the only pathway for achieving sustainable development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the adoption of this plan will enhance the national standing on human rights and guarantee the protection of communities and laborers from the excesses of bad business practices. We must utterly implement this plan to ensure the quest for economic development and does not continue to undermine human rights. A society which seeks economic growth at the detriment of its citizens will eventually decline. As a politician with business expertise, I have observed that the present climate of irresponsible business practices provide profit for companies, but does little for our people. A sustainable and stable business environment calls for accountability, transparency, equality, social cohesion, the rule of law, and respect of human rights for all. We must not be occupied with facilitating investment and enroll the implementation for responsible business practices. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that the direct investment we seek create more good than harm for our people. The general neglect of local communities in development planning is unacceptable, and that narrative has been changed by the adoption of this action. As leaders, we have a mandate to ensure domestic and foreign business enterprises demonstrate much greater respect for human rights. We must guarantee transparency and meaningful participation of affected community in decisions regarding business activities. This action plan should also protect human rights, defend trade union members, and community dwellers who may be vulnerable to attacks and intimidation for speaking out against related human rights abuses. Those who seek to hold businesses accountable need to be respected and taken seriously. Quite recently, we have witnessed protests from community dwellers against some of the concession companies. Those protests not only undermine our nation's peace and security, but also scare investors. I hold the opinion that the security of any concession company or business enterprises lies in the hands of the resident of that community. Once the community experiences the benefit of business operations, they feel obligated to provide protection. In all my attempts to solve crises between the community and business enterprises, I have always emphasized that the people are the real owners of the state and its resources. If we are serious about improving their living condition, they must be included and enjoy the ultimate benefits. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, It is our obligation as leaders to create an environment for investment and strike the balance between economic growth and economic development. We cannot only focus on the taxes which come through business enterprises. Our role is to also protect our people who are the true beneficiaries. Our duty as leaders is to ensure that government, institutions dealing with businesses, the judiciary, together with the Independent National Commission on Human Rights, have the necessary resources and training to provide effective oversight of corporate behavior and corporate accountability. This National Action Plan needs to be fully supported and implemented. I therefore recommend the national dialogue between the crafter of this plan and the business community to create a sense of awareness on the respective roles and responsibilities. The launch of this plan is not just history, but it gives hope to our citizens that the government is concerned about their well-being. Businesses that continue to engage in bad labor practices must be held accountable. It is President Wakai's vision that we cannot do business as usual. For our nation to attain sustainable development, such a plan is necessary for the promotion of the rule of law. I commend all stakeholders for working very hard to produce this action plan, and I remain hopeful that we will have the courage, patriotism needed for its full implementation. It is my pleasing duty to officially launch National Action Plan for Business and Human Rights and call for its immediate publication and implementation. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Liberia. And God bless Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So before we call on Beto Fisher Foundation, maybe we're going to have a photograph. We're going to have a photograph of the Vice President, the Speaker, and the dignitaries on the platform, members of the. Yeah.